5, 4, 3. Welcome to PeaceKeeper Reaction. My name is Nathan. Thank you so much for joining us today, you guys. A little bit of a different video than what we normally check out on the channel, which is metal from all over the world. But I came across this interview with Tucker Carlson and Ice Cube, and I thought it was really interesting, and I thought we may as well check out some of the highlights from this interview because I found it really interesting. And one interesting thing that I found in the past year, I would say, there has been really a lot of vitriol spewed towards Tucker Carlson, someone who was a Fox News host who I never really paid much attention to. And then when I see everyone throwing hate at a person, it makes me think, well, maybe I should probably check this out because you know, I find a lot of times when everyone's slinging mud, it's because what that person is saying could be the truth, and they don't want that. All these mainstream media types, they want to keep the truth as hidden as away as possible. So whenever you get a truth teller, they start to all throw darts. And so I checked out some Tucker Carlson videos. This was when he was last on Fox, and I gotta say, he kind of sounds like a reasonable guy. I don't really see the insane racist that I've been told he was. So I kind of started watching his videos. He had a lot of lefties on the show: Jimmy Dore, Aaron Mate, Tulsi Gabbard made appearances frequently on the show. And I got to say, it's a completely different show than you would think if you only saw maybe selected clips, or if you only went by what, you know, the other hosts on other channels say about this guy. It's very interesting. So I was watching this interview with Ice Cube, and one of the things kind of blew me away, but doesn't surprise me, is that people started calling Ice Cube a right-winger. That's right. He didn't agree with 100% of everything the Democrats said, so now he is a right-wing. The guy who wrote "Fuck the Police" is a right-winger, but let's hear what he had to say about that.
A lot of people, they, think I'm a, Republican. I'm a right-winger, just because I was willing to speak to the Trump administration, and I was willing to speak with the Biden administration as well,
Have you?
One guy in the administration, but it didn't go anywhere. It was basically a, take my temperature kind of call. We'll get to it, but, they never got to it or never planned to.
So that's an interesting thing. So Ice Cube, if you remember, before the election, all he simply was asking for was something for his vote, something for the African-American community. Because, he was saying, like on day one, Trump's going to be gone. But then what? What are you going to do for us? What are you going to do to earn my vote? And it's very clear that the Biden people, they take for granted they already have the black vote. They don't have to offer you anything if you don't make them offer you anything. And your vote should be earned every time, not just assumed that it's going to, the more you say, I'm going to vote for blue no matter who, the less the blue is going to do for you. That's the way I see it. And Ice Cube, he was saying the same things, and he was willing to talk to the other side to get what he wants for his vote. And so then he's ostracized as a right-winger. Very interesting. He talks about police.
The same, they, it really is, it's like looking at, what's your view of the military? They're the military. They're always going to be the military. If I asked you this in 1946, you'd be like, they're the military. Yeah. So it's a fraternity. It's an organization that does things a certain way. And I think their philosophy sometimes is detrimental to the people they're serving, because I think cops have a win and make it home philosophy. Win whatever battles you have in the street, make it home at night. And that's actually the most important thing. And everything else, people's rights, doing things the right way, being totally fair and square all the time and not, being a little aggressive, all that comes second to win the encounter, make it home at night. And you can't really fault somebody for thinking that way as a police officer, but that's the philosophy, so everything else comes second to that. So guy might not care if he violated your rights. He's gonna win this encounter. He's gonna make it home tonight. And that's all that matters. And sometimes I think that's what we see is an organization hell-bent on winning, and not a fraternity or organization hell-bent on upholding the law and doing everything right.
Yeah, Ice Cube coming again with some truth. I mean, think about how they say that a police are like an invading force on the people that they're supposed to police. Look at the way they serve these no-knock warrants by booting in your door, stomping in like stormtroopers, and then compare that video to what they do in Iraq when they're kicking in doors and with guns and shit. Rah rah. I mean that's crazy. So a lot of times the police, they don't live in the city or the town that they police. They live outside. So they're not policing their own community. They're essentially an invading force, an occupying force. So that's very interesting here. And let's see what other time codes I got here. I'm not sure. This one. Let's see what he has to say.
They come with a philosophy, and you can try to buck it if you want to, but more than likely they're gonna get you out the way and stay in formation.
Do you think that it's harder to be a man in America now than it was when you were a kid?
Yes. Saying what you feel, being yourself, is what they call toxic. We shouldn't be called toxic for our instincts and for, I was born this way. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Why can't we be ourselves? We were born this way too.
So there are some groups, like if I say I'm trans, then people say, that's great, you were born that way, we affirm you. But if you say I'm just a dude with male instincts, you're not affirmed, you're attacked.
Yeah, I mean, everybody doesn't really have to affirm you. If I wake up and say, I feel like a pigeon. And I want everybody to treat me like a pigeon. Some people may say, whatever, Q, we treat you like a pigeon. But some people may choose to be like, dude, no. That's your world. I'm not part of it. And I have to be ready for that.
Yeah, that's such an interesting point. So, about toxic masculinity, it's such a bullshit term because you can't just put toxic in front of something and then say all masculinity is toxic. That's insane. What if you toxic femininity, toxic whatever, insert whatever, you know what I mean? It makes no sense. And if men are born masculine and then all of a sudden we're being told that our masculine is toxic, you're going to get this kind of messed up world that we live in where we're going to try to maybe pretend to be something else, less toxic, you know what I mean? And personally, from what I see, a lot of women aren't really on board with that. They're dating older guys because older guys haven't been taught this stuff about toxic masculinity, and they actually would rather date somebody who was a little more masculine than a lot of these younger guys are very feminine with their energy. You know what I mean? So, and I can see that. And the thing again about the trans, I support all of my trans brothers and sisters. And the thing is, I see a lot of videos on TikTok and stuff where someone may melt down if they're kind of misgendered or something, where it's like you got to build a thicker skin. That can happen to you while you're out there in the world. You're going to hear things you don't like. You can't melt down. You got to fucking develop a callus. You know what I mean? And that will serve to protect you, and will probably make you stronger instead of forcing everybody or freaking out all the time. I think that's a great point. I got one last time code here that we're going to check out. I recommend you go and check out this entire interview. It's very interesting. Here we have Ice Cube on the cost of living.
Put that store up, and that has to change.
How do people live in this state who aren't making a lot of money?
I mean, things are so expensive. Houses that used to cost, like my father, I think he bought his house 47 grand, maybe. And now it's worth 650.
The house you grew up in?
The house I grew up in. It's worth $650,000.
Wow.
And that's in South Central?
South Central.
South Central?
Huh. So the middle class has shrunk in this state?
Without a doubt, or left. You know, they definitely shrunk, and we have a lot of people leaving the state because they just can't afford it.
If you were running the state, wouldn't that be a big concern for you?
Yeah, I think it's a major problem because you not only have people leaving, you have industries leaving. You know, Tesla, they just put up a plant in Texas, so you know they left California.
Very interesting. So yeah, that's crazy to think about. I mean, I have no thoughts that I will ever own a home. Like I have no. That will never happen. You know what I mean? And like my parents' house, they bought it in the 90s for, like Cube was saying, it was a little more. It was like 90,000 or something. Now it's worth 600. Who can afford that? And then on top of that, you got interest rates shooting up. So you have a mortgage. It could be fucking, I don't know, $2,000, which seems like a lot to me. All of a sudden, interest points shoot up 3%. You're paying then, you know, closer to 4%. I mean, who can afford that kind of inflation? I mean, it's fucking crazy. But I just wanted to point out those few little clips from this really interesting interview with Tucker Carlson and Ice Cube. So let me know what you think about that. And stay tuned. We got some music coming up for Peacekeeper. I'm Nathan. Play safe. I can put my arm back.
Anxiety's through the roof. Put him on benzos.
That's fun. 0.25.
Put him on benzos.
Cut it into small pieces.
You should try it.
Cut it into small pieces.
It's fun.
Cut it into small pieces. Bloody fun. Cut it into small pieces.
Yeah.
Cut it into small pieces.
Eat that.
Cut it into small pieces.
Quite delicious.
Cut it into small pieces.
Shit, I forgot what I was saying.
Put him on benzos.
Do it. 0.25s, 0.25s, 0.25s.
Put him on benzos.
That's a party. That's a party. That's a party.
Put him on benzos.
0.25s, 0.25s, 0.25s.
Put him on benzos.
That's a party. That's a party. That's a party.
Try not to be a bigger fool than necessary.
Eat a steak.
That's the theory.